All right, welcome everyone. Today we're going to pull back the curtain on something truly incredible, the systems that keep us all safe up there in the sky. I'm talking about aircraft maintenance. And trust me, it's way more fascinating and organized than you probably think. So let's just dive right in.
Just stop and think about it for a second. You've got this massive 400-ton machine, right? And it's flying hundreds of people clear across the globe. So how on earth is it possible to guarantee its safety, not just once, but for every single flight it takes? Well, the answer isn't luck. It's an incredibly well-thought-out system.
Okay, so the entire foundation of aircraft safety, it all comes down to one core idea, the time limit. But here's the thing, this isn't time like you and I think about it, hours and days on a calendar. Nope. In aviation, time is a measure of use. It's about wear, it's about stress.
In fact, you could say that every single aircraft is running on 3 different clocks all at the same time. So first, you've got the one we all know, the calendar. Stuff that needs to be checked every 7 days or every month. Then you've got flight hours. That's a clock that only ticks when the plane is actually in the air. And finally, there are landing cycles. Because think about it, every single takeoff and landing puts a very specific kind of stress on the plane. Each of these clocks is tracking a totally different kind of wear and tear.
And this is where it all comes together in a really interesting way. You see, every single maintenance action, every check, every repair, everything, it all falls into one of 2 very distinct categories. It's like there are 2 parallel worlds working together, the world of the planned and the world of the completely unplanned.
So here's that fundamental split. On one side, you've got scheduled maintenance. This is all proactive, it's predictable, and it's based on things we know are going to happen over time. But on the other side, you've got unscheduled maintenance, and that's purely reactive. It's the system for everything you just can't predict.
All right, let's dive into that first world, the one that is truly the backbone of aviation safety, the methodical, predictable rhythm of scheduled checks. The whole game here is to prevent problems long before they ever have a chance to happen.
And these checks, they really scale up in a big way. It all starts with pretty simple daily and weekly inspections. But then you move up to what's called an A check, and that happens every few months. Bigger still, the C checks. And then you have the massive D checks. This is where the entire aircraft is practically taken apart inside a hangar and rebuilt over several weeks. Each level gets more and more intensive, building this incredibly detailed picture of the aircraft's health.
But get this, it's not just about inspecting things. So many critical components. We're talking engine parts, landing gear. They have their own strict time limits. And when their clock runs out, they don't get repaired. Nope, they are completely removed and replaced. The whole philosophy here is just so important. It's not about fixing something that broke. It's about preventing the possibility of it ever breaking in the first place. It's proactive replacement, no questions asked.
Okay, but what about all the stuff a clock can't predict? What happens then? Well, that brings us to the second world, the world of the unexpected. Think of this as the safety net that's designed to catch absolutely everything that can't be put on a schedule.
Because, things can happen at any time, totally without warning. It could be something like a bird strike during the approach,
Or maybe a lightning strike, a sudden jolt of millions of volts while you're cruising at 35,000 feet. Or, hey, maybe the plane flies through some unusually severe turbulence that just rattles the entire airframe. Or it could even be something like a tail strike, where the back of the plane actually scrapes the runway. Each one of these events puts a unique, totally unpredictable stress on the aircraft.
and here's the key. Any of those events, and a whole bunch more like them, immediately triggers a mandatory unscheduled inspection. It doesn't matter if the plane lands safely. It doesn't matter if the crew says everything feels totally fine. The event itself is the trigger. That aircraft must be checked from top to bottom before it's allowed to fly again, period. So, okay, you've got these 2 totally separate worlds, right? The scheduled and the unscheduled. But what's the glue that holds them both together? What's the one thing that ensures every single action, whether it was planned for months or just happened 5 minutes ago, is done perfectly every single time? The answer is simple: the manual. And this really gets to the heart of it all. A maintenance technician never, ever improvises. They don't guess. Every single action they take is dictated, word for word, by the documents provided by the aircraft's manufacturer. There is absolutely zero room for interpretation.
The specific tool they use for this is called a task card. And think of it like the most detailed recipe you've ever seen.
For every single job, I don't care if it's a simple weekly check or a super complex inspection after a lightning strike, there's a specific task card. It lists every step, every tool needed, every single torque specification. It's the script that guarantees absolute consistency and safety every single time.
And that is how it all comes together. On the one hand, you have the proactive, scheduled checks that are always looking for wear and tear over time. And on the other, you have the reactive, unscheduled inspections for all those sudden, unpredictable events. When you put them together, these two systems create these incredible, overlapping layers of protection. It's a safety net so comprehensive that absolutely nothing is left to chance.
When you think about it, this whole system just shows the incredible depth of planning and procedure that goes into every single flight. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it, what other invisible systems, from air traffic control to how pilots are trained, are all working together in perfect harmony just to make flying the single safest way to travel on the planet.